Steelers fans thank Raiders shooter Daniel Carlson with donations when Daniel Carlson connected on a 47-yard field goal as time ran out in overtime on Sunday night. He not only lifted the Las Vegas Raiders to a 35-32 victory over the Los Angeles Chargers, he also put the Pittsburgh Steelers into the NFL playoffs. Steelers fans have shown their gratitude by contributing to charitable ventures that Carlson supports. More NFL times Josh Bynes looking forward to his 12th NFL season. Times Tua Tagovailoa is, right now, the quarterback, Dolphins owner says. Times Cam Newton, this second go-around has been a blessing. The former Auburn All-American thanked his new Pittsburgh fans via Twitter this week, writing, "Steelers, please thank your fans who are generously donating to charities I've been involved with. He'll add some links below for any others who would like to join in on the fun." Playoffs. Carlson directed fans to 3 organizations. Times 18 Ministries, which offers spiritual, emotional and financial support to children and their families in the pediatric cancer community. Times After School All-Stars Las Vegas, which works with 14 schools in the Las Vegas area to help children achieve their hopes and dreams, regardless of their race, gender, zip code or family's income. Times Boys and Girls Clubs of Southern Nevada, which aims to enable all young people, especially those who need us most, to reach their full potential as productive, caring, responsible citizens. Pittsburgh entered the final Sunday of the NFL's 2021 regular season needing a victory over the Baltimore Ravens and a loss by the Indianapolis Colts to qualify for the AFC playoff field. The odds seemed against the Steelers because the Colts were a 15.5-point favorite against the Jacksonville Jaguars on Sunday, but the Jaguars broke an 8-game losing streak and earned their 3rd victory over the season by appending Indianapolis 26-11 on Sunday. When the Steelers squeaked by the Ravens 16-13 in overtime shortly after the Colts game ended, Pittsburgh had its postseason berth in hand with one improbable asterisk: Sunday night's Chargers-Raiders game could not end in a tie. The winner of the Los Angeles-Las Vegas game would earn a playoff berth and the loser would have its season end. But if the teams tied in the final game of the NFL's 2021 regular season, both would go to the playoffs and Pittsburgh would not. The Chargers scored a touchdown on the final play of the 4th quarter to send the game into overtime, but Carlson's 5th field goal of the game broke a 32-32 tie and sent the Raiders' AFC West rival home without a playoff ticket. The field goal also allowed Carlson to tie for the NFL scoring championship for the 2nd straight season. Carlson and New England Patriots kicker Nick Folk scored 150 points apiece in the 2021 season. Last season, Carlson scored 144 points to tie Atlanta Falcons kicker Younghoe Koo and Miami Dolphins kicker Jason Sanders for the NFL scoring title. Carlson is among the 4 players from Alabama high schools and colleges who have led the NFL in scoring. The others are Times Seattle Seahawks running back Sean Alexander with 168 points in 2005. Times Los Angeles Rams kicker David Ray with 130 points in 1973. Times Green Bay Packers wide receiver kicker Don Hutson with 57 points in 1940, 95 points in 1941, 138 points in 1942, 117 points in 1943 and 85 points in 1944. Alexander's 2005 total is the 3rd highest in one season in NFL history. Carlson's 150 points in 2021 are tied for the 19th most in one season in NFL history. Has also tied for the most points by kicking in one NFL season by a player with Alabama football roots. Cody Parkey scored 150 points for the Philadelphia Eagles in 2014. For more of all.com's coverage of the NFL, go to our NFL page. Mark Anabanet is a sports reporter for Alabama Media Group. Follow him on Twitter at @AMarkG1. Greg McElroy challenges Kayvon Thibodeaux to Wonderic IQ test. Greg McElroy is more than willing to show Oregon's Kayvon Thibodeaux the results of an Alabama education. In what has become a week-long story, Thibodeaux, a potential number 1 overall pick in the upcoming NFL quarterback, grabbed headlines for questioning the validity of an Alabama education. McElroy, an ESPN analyst and former Alabama quarterback, clapped back at Thibodeaux's comments about the stigmatism of Alabama education. Related, Paul Feinbaum responds to comments about Alabama. "I just take real personal offense, man," McElroy said on Thursday during McElroy and Kubelic in the morning on WJOX in Birmingham. "I genuinely do. I don't care. Don't come. If you think so little of us, don't come. Fine by me, because I know the people that live in this state. I chose Alabama because I love Alabama." He wasn't done. "What I don't understand is why he felt the need to cut down Alabama," McElroy said on his radio show McElroy and Kubelic in the morning. And as someone who has always taken his academic situation very seriously, he'll just come at him with this. If he'd like to take an IQ test, I'm available. If he'd like to take the Wonderic test, I'm available. As a proud graduate with multiple degrees from Alabama, I will put my degree up against his any day of the week. McElroy, a finalist for the Rhodes Scholarship in 2010, was offered by Ivy League schools before deciding to play football for Alabama. What people don't realize is that football is an American sport, so no matter how great Alabama is, you only play football in America, Canada, and a couple other places, Thibodeaux said. But a brand like Nike, I mean, for me it was like, what brand associations do I want to be tied to? For me, I already hate the stigmatism of football players being dumb jocks. Do you know the stigmatism of Alabama education? It ain't the West Coast, it ain't Harvard. McElroy shot back on his Birmingham-based show. I'd like to show him the offers, because I would be willing to bet that Harvard didn't offer him, McElroy said. I think they probably would have taken him, but Harvard did offer me, as did Yale, as did Princeton, as did almost every Ivy League school along with Duke, Stanford, Northwestern and Vanderbilt. And I chose Alabama, so put her there. Kayvon Thibodeaux, the projected #1 overall pick, explained to Fox Sports' Joel Klatt on Monday how the Oregon experience is different and better than any other he could have made in what can only be described as a very bizarre interview. If I handed you a fishing pole, would you know how to use it? He asked if I've never learned, or if school has never been important to me, or a job, or a career has never been important until I was done playing football. How would I ever know how to get a career or a job? I won't. You know what I sat back and thought about? I sat back and said, what world do I want to be a part of? I said, if I go to Alabama, I'm going to win national championships, literally. But do I want to be a guy who's known as a national championship winner, or do I want to be a guy who's known for being a part of the greatest organization in the world? In 3 years at Oregon, he compiled 126 tackles and 19 sacks. Meet me at the Wonderic, McElroy said. Meet me there, Kayvon. Come get some. Match my 48, or 43, whichever one it was. Mark Heim is a sports reporter for the Alabama Media Group. Follow him on Twitter at Mark_Heim. Jaylen Waddle set a record for NFL rookie reception. Miami Dolphins wide receiver Jaylen Waddle now has caught more passes than any rookie in the history of the NFL. The former Alabama standout entered the Miami Dolphins regular season finale 2 behind the rookie record of 101 receptions established by wide receiver Anquan Boldin for the Arizona Cardinals in 2003. Waddle didn't need long in Sunday's game against the New England Patriots to break the record, as quarterback Tua Tagovailoa threw to him on 3 of the Dolphins' first 4 snaps. The first pass went for a 9-yard gain and got Waddle to 100 receptions for the 2021 season. The second pass gained 4 yards and pushed Waddle past 1,000 receiving yards for the campaign. The third pass was good for 5 yards and broke Boldin's record. Although Miami was playing its 17th game of the season, Waddle didn't play more games in 2021 than Boldin did in 2003 because he missed one contest while on reserve for COVID-19. Waddle capped the Dolphins' first possession of the game by catching a 7-yard touchdown pass. Waddle entered Sunday's game with 99 receptions for 988 yards and 5 touchdowns. The 6th player picked in the NFL draft on April 29th, Waddle was presented the Dan Marino Most Valuable Player award last week as the Dolphins' MVP for the 2021 season. Waddle is the second Miami player with 100 receptions in a season. Jarvis Landry had 112 receptions in 2017 and 110 in 2015 for Miami. Waddle is the second Alabama alumnus with 100 receptions in an NFL season. Julio Jones had 136 receptions in 2015, 113 in 2018 and 104 in 2014 for the Atlanta Falcons. For more of all.com's coverage of the NFL, go to our NFL page. Mark Burnett is a sports reporter for Alabama Media Group. Follow him on Twitter at @AMarkG1. 8th Auburn in Arkansas Gymnastics live 15th 1 go 14. How to watch Suni Lee, TV online, time. The number 8 Auburn Gymnastics team opens SEC action Friday, January 14th at number 15 Arkansas. The meet will be live streamed on Fubo TV, which offers a free trial. It's going to be all hands on deck this week for us, Auburn coach Jeff Gruber said in a release. Arkansas is a really good team that is really good at home. They moved us to the big arena, and with it being a dual meet on national television, the pressure is intensified. The meet will be the first held in Bud Walton Arena, and Auburn's first televised meet of the season. Auburn will look to its experienced gymnasts. Among those include seniors Drew Watson and Darian Gabon, as well as junior Aria Brush and Cassie Stevens. Watson is third nationally on vault, while Gabon has top scores on vault and floor. Stevens is among the nation's best in the all-around, and Brush has valued experience on bars, beam and floor. Freshman Suni Lee, the 2020 Olympic all-around champion and uneven bars bronze medalist, will compete in the beam, the Tigers' final rotation, and is listed as tentative on the bars and a potential competitor on the floor. The meet between Auburn and Arkansas is set for 7:30 p.m. on Friday, January 14th. The game will be live streamed on Fubo TV, which offers a free trial. The most basic of plans is the Fubo Standard package, which comprises 100+ channels for $64.99 per month. Like all cord-cutting alternatives, there are plenty of options, especially for sports. The Auburn-Arkansas match will be broadcast on the SEC network. Mark Heim is a sports reporter for the Alabama Media Group. Follow him on Twitter at Mark_Heim. Charles Buckley chose Alabama-Georgia. Maria Taylor slammed Auburn mischievously. Charles Barkley is stuck between a rock and a hard place. The NBA analyst and former Auburn basketball star has his two biggest rivals, Alabama and Georgia, facing off Monday for the College Football Playoff National Championship. What's a guy to do? On Thursday's edition of Inside the NBA, Barkley hit the popular guarantee button when he made his pick. But before he made his pick, he was met with some persuasive arguments from famous Georgia alumni pleading with the former NBA great not to pick the Bulldogs, who are a 3-point favorite. I speak for all University of Georgia fans, Inside the NBA host Ernie Johnson said. Let's hope and pray Charles Barkley does not pick the University of Georgia to win the national championship. He wasn't alone. NBC Sports' Maria Taylor, who attended Georgia from 2005 to 2009, added, "We don't need that bad luck and, oh yeah, what bowl game is Auburn playing in?" The Timberwolves' Anthony Edwards, who played at Georgia from 2019 to 2020, pointed out that every time you bet on us, we lose. In the end, Barkley hit the buzzer. "The Georgia Bulldogs are going to win the national championship," he exclaimed. Guaranteed. He simply said, "It's their time. Check it out." Mark Heim is a sports reporter for the Alabama Media Group. Follow him on Twitter at Mark_Heim. Rewinding number 4 Auburn basketball's 81-77 win against number 24 Alabama. Make it a dirty dozen for Bruce Pearl and his squad. Number 4 Auburn scrapped out a big-time road win, staving off number 24 Alabama, 81-77, Tuesday night in Coleman Coliseum. The Tigers have won 12 straight since their lone loss of the season and are now 4-0 in SEC play. Read more Auburn and Alabama basketball. This is next level, what it's like from the other side of an Auburn basketball Twitter storm. Pearl, Auburn will need best game of season vs. dangerous Alabama. Nate Oats used Herb Jones as lesson for J.D. Davison. Others. Auburn got a career-high 25 points from Jabari Smith, who led 4 Tigers in double figures. Wendell Green Jr. had 19 on the night, while K.D. Johnson had 13. Allen Flanigan finished with 10, including 4 big free throws inside the final minute to ice the game for Auburn. Alabama had 5 players score in double figures, led by Jarvin Quinerly's 14. Jaden Shackelford had 13, and the backcoat duo helped the Tide mount a furious comeback down the stretch before the Tigers held on for the win. Noah Gurley finished with 11 points, while Kean Ellis and Darius Miles had 10 apiece. Below is a blow-by-blow recap of Tuesday's action. Final, Auburn 81, Alabama 77. Dylan Cardwell with a huge block. Alabama hasn't made a field goal in 4+ minutes. Auburn is going to escape with the win. 2 more from the line for Flanigan, and Auburn leads 81-77 with 19.7 seconds to play. Allen Flanigan sinks 2 free throws with 58.6 seconds to play. Auburn leads 79-77. K.D. Johnson and Jabari Smith collide and hit the deck under the basket. Both get up after a few moments. 1:42 to play, and it's tied at 77-77 after a pair of Noah Gurley free throws. He has 11 points. Circus shot by K.D. Johnson, and Auburn is ahead 77-75 with 2:04 to play. Jaden Shackelford ties it at 75-75 with a pair of free throws, as Auburn is called for its 23rd foul of the night. Jabari Smith ends the scoring drought for Auburn with a pair of free throws. He has a career-high 25 points, and Auburn is back in front by 2. Auburn 73, Alabama 73 under, 4 timeout. Auburn hasn't scored in 4+ minutes and just committed another turnover on a Jabari Smith offensive foul. Alabama has made 5 of its last 6 shots, while Auburn has missed 5 straight from the field. Tie game. Alabama on a 14-0 run to tie it at 73-73 with under 4 minutes to play. Auburn's lead is down to 2 after another 3-pointer from Jaden Shackelford. Tied on a 12-0 run. Walker Kessler with an offensive foul on the other end. His night is over. Just 2 points and 2 rebounds. Monster dunk by J.D. Davison over Walker Kessler, and the foul, but he misses the free throw. It's a 5-point game. That's Kessler's 4th foul. Alabama on a 7-0 run, and Auburn's lead is cut in half after back-to-back 3-pointers by Jarvin Quinerly and Jaden Shackelford. Auburn 73, Alabama 59 under, 8 timeout. Walker Kessler gets his first block, and then his first points of the game with less than 9 minutes to play. Then Jabari Smith drains a corner 3-pointer. Auburn's lead is 14 with 7:52 to go, and Smith has 23 points. Tigers have knocked down 5 of 8 from deep in the second half. Auburn 68, Alabama 57. Alabama timeout, 5 straight points by Wendell Green Jr. First, he splits 2 defenders at the top of the key and glides to the rim for a nice finish. Then he drains a deep 3-pointer. Auburn's lead is back to 11 points, and Green has 19 on the night. Dylan Cardwell with a dunk off an assist from Wendell Green Jr. Jr. snaps an 8-0 run by the Tide. Dylan Cardwell called for a flagrant foul after an official review. That'll be 2 shots, plus the ball, for Alabama with 11:09 to play. Kean Ellis makes both free throws, and it's a 4-point game. Auburn 61, Alabama 55 under, 12 timeout, Alabama on a 6-0 run over the last minute, and it's a 6-point game. Over the back foul on Devin Cambridge, Alabama will be in the bonus for the final 12:22 of the game. Wendell Green Jr., again, he is 14, and Auburn's lead is up to 12. Auburn 57, Alabama 47 under, 16 timeout, another 3-pointer from Wendell Green Jr., he has 12 points, and Auburn has its first double-digit lead of the game, 57-47, with 15 minutes to play. Auburn has 3 players in double figures, Alabama has just one. Wendell Green Jr. with a 3-pointer. Neither team shooting great from deep. Auburn is 4 of 16, while Alabama is 4 of 17. Tigers have made 3 of their last 5 from deep, however. Jabari Smith now with 20 points. Auburn leads 49-43 with 17:21. Jew and Gary now has 4 fouls. Walker Kessler picks up his 3rd foul with 18:03 to go in the game. Auburn is ahead 45-41 after Kean Ellis splits the free throws. Jabari Smith up to 16 points after a 3-pointer. His shot is so smooth. Alabama opens the half with a Kean Ellis 3-pointer. That was his first shot attempt of the night, and it draws Alabama within 2, 40-38. Halftime, Auburn 40, Alabama 35. Jabari Smith ends the first half with 13 points on 8 shots, to go along with 3 blocks and a pair of rebounds. KD Johnson with 9 points, 5 rebounds and 3 steals for the Tigers, who are ahead despite shooting just 2 of 14 from 3-point range. Noah Gurley leads Alabama with 7 points. Tide are just 3 of 14 from deep tonight. Both teams with 8 turnovers. Auburn has an edge on the boards, 25-19. Devin Cambridge with a putback to put Auburn ahead, 40-35 at halftime. Allen Flanigan now with 2 quick fouls for Auburn in the final few minutes of the half. Alabama draws within 3, 36-33, after a pair of Noah Gurley free throws. KD Johnson makes both free throws to give Auburn a 9-point lead, but Alabama answers with an and one by J.D. Davison. Auburn 32, Alabama 25 under, 4 timeout. KD Johnson knocks down a deep 3-pointer from the top of the key. He then gets a steal and is fouled on a drive. He'll go to the line for a pair after the timeout. He has 7 points and 5 rebounds, plus a steal, for Auburn tonight. He has been playing at a ridiculous speed. J.D. Davison ends the Alabama scoring drought with a transition layup. It's Auburn 29, Alabama 25. Auburn 29, Alabama 23, alley-oop to Devin Cambridge. Auburn is on a 6-0 since the break, and Alabama has missed its last 4 field goal attempts and hasn't scored in 2:13. Wendell Green Jr. with a floater out of the timeout, and Auburn is back in front. Auburn 23, Alabama 23 under, 8 timeout. Jabari Smith is carrying Auburn here in the first half. Alabama is getting a very balanced effort, with 4 players with 4 points apiece and 7 players on the scoresheet. Jabari Smith with 5 straight points for Auburn. He has 11 of the team's first 23 points, as well as 3 blocks here in the first half. It's 23-20, Auburn. Smith has scored in double figures in 13 consecutive games now. Allen Flanigan with a layup out of the timeout to tie things up. Jew and Gary with an offensive rebound on the other end for a tip-in. First offensive board for the Tide. Alabama 18, Auburn 16 under, 12 timeout. Noah Gurley drains a 3-pointer to put the Tide ahead at the second media timeout. Alabama is 2 of 5 from deep. Auburn just 1 of 8 from 3-point range to far. Alabama is also 6 of 6 from the free throw line, while Auburn is just 1 of 4. Wendell Green Jr. with a fadeaway jumper to end the drought for Auburn. Allen Flanigan then gets a contested fast break to put Auburn back in front, 16-15. Auburn has missed 7 straight shots and has made just 2 of its last 10 field goal attempts while in a 2:31 scoring drought. Alabama up 15-12. Wendell Green Jr. checks back in for Auburn. Tigers trail the Tide, 13-12, with 13:11 to play in the first half. Wendell Green Jr. was hit in the face before the under 16 timeout and is out of the game at the moment. Big putback dunk from Dylan Cardwell out of the timeout. Auburn is going to need some big minutes from him, especially with Walker Kessler in foul trouble. Cardwell then blocks a 3-pointer on the other end. Auburn 10, Alabama 10 under, 16 timeout. Jabari Smith has 6 points on 2 of 2 shooting for Auburn. Alabama is 3 of 5 from the field but 0 of 2 from 3-point range early. A drive by Jarvin Quinerly gives Alabama a 10-8 lead, but Jabari Smith quickly ties it up with a mid-range pull-up. Jabari Smith drains a 3-pointer to make it 8-6, but then Walker Kessler picks up his second foul with 16:58 to play. Second game in a row he has been in foul trouble. He heads to the bench, with Dylan Cardwell checking in. Nice floater from Allen Flanigan to put Auburn in front. Walker Kessler then called for a late foul on the other end, and Alabama ties it at the free throw line. KD Johnson wastes no time for Auburn, scores in the first 5 seconds of action for the early 2-0 lead, but Jew and Gary responds for Alabama to tie it made up. Pre-game Auburn lineup: G. Zep Jasper, G. K.D. Johnson, G. Allen Flanagan, F. Jabri Smith, F. Walker Kessler. Alabama lineup: G. Jarvin Quinley, G. Jaden Shackelford, G. Kian Ellis, F. Juwan Gary, C. Charles Bediako. Auburn will have its full roster available for just the third time this season and for the second consecutive game. The Tigers do not have any COVID or injury-related absences against the Tide. Tom Green is an Auburn beat reporter for Alabama Media Group. Follow him on Twitter at Thomas_Verde. Auburn basketball contact Bruce Pearl. Times Associated Press highest poll ranking. For the second time during the Bruce Pearl era, Auburn basketball is ranked in the top 4 of the AP poll. Auburn climbed 5 spots to number 4 in the latest AP poll released Monday after another impressive week. The Tigers were previously ranked 9th in last week's poll. Monday marked the first time since January 13, 2020 that the program has been ranked as high as 4th in the poll, and it's just the second time in the last 22 years the Tigers have achieved that ranking. Read more Auburn basketball. Bruce Pearl. Auburn will need best game of season against dangerous Alabama. Rewinding Auburn's win against Florida. Zep Jasper delivers for number 9 Auburn in return to Palmetto State. Auburn is ranked behind number 1 Baylor, number 2 Gonzaga, and number 3 UCLA. Auburn extended its win streak to double digits this week, first with a 15-point road win at South Carolina and then with a 12-point victory at home against Florida on Saturday to improve to 14-1 overall and 3-0 in SEC. The Tigers have now won 11 consecutive games, which is the third longest active win streak in the nation and is tied for the 9th longest win streak in program history. It's the first time since 2018 that Auburn has opened SEC play with 3 straight wins by double figures, and it's the first time since 1970 that the Tigers have defeated each of their first 3 conference games by at least 12 points. Auburn will try to extend that streak Tuesday when it travels to Tuscaloosa for an 8 p.m. showdown with rival Alabama at Coleman Coliseum. The Tide head into that matchup ranked 24th after losing to Missouri on Saturday. Auburn and Alabama are 2 of 5 SEC teams ranked in the Week 10 AP poll, along with number 12 LSU, number 18 Kentucky and number 22 Tennessee. Along with matching its highest ranking under Pearl, Auburn is up to number 6 in net rankings and has reached its highest KenPom ranking of Pearl's tenure. Tom Green is an Auburn beat reporter for Alabama Media Group. Follow him on Twitter at Thomas_Verde. Nate Oats updates the status of Kool-Aid McKinstry, James Rojas and Nimari Burnett. Alabama football cornerbacks Kool-Aid McKinstry and Terrion Arnold have not yet joined the Tide's basketball team, and there is not a timetable for that to happen. McKinstry and Arnold, both freshmen, both plan to play 2 sports when they enrolled at Alabama last year. McKinstry played basketball at Pinson Valley High School, while Arnold played at John Paul II Catholic High School in Tallahassee. More in Alabama sports. Alabama WR enters transfer portal. Alabama linebacker picks group of 5 transfer destination. How Alabama's number 1 all-time recruiting class fared as freshmen. We have not seen Terrion or Kool-Aid, Alabama coach Nate Oats said Friday. Obviously that's a long football season and their bodies need a little time to recover. I did talk to Coach Hodgson about it, and I think they've reached out to him. I don't have an anticipated start time or if the plan is for them to still come in or not. Oats said when McKinstry signed his letter of intent in December 2020 that he would have a spot on the basketball team. McKinstry later practiced with the basketball team last season before football spring practice began in March. McKinstry, a 5-star football recruit, emerged as a starter for Alabama's football team late in the season after injuries to Josh Jobe and Jalen Davis, while Arnold saw limited playing time on special teams. Arnold, a 4-star recruit in the 2020 football class ranked number 51 nationally by 247 Sports, said during his recruitment process that he wanted to continue playing basketball in college. Like I said before, it's really hard here, just football going so late, Oates said. It seems like they are playing until the middle of January every year here. By that time we've played over half of our schedule at this point. I'd love to get some toughness and defense. Our defense has been an issue. Both of those guys are big-time athletes that can probably guard a little bit, but we're not anticipating them at any point here real soon. Oates did say Friday that forward James Rojas is close to returning from knee surgery last summer. Rojas is getting closer, he said. Has been able to do some live stuff in the half court in practice. Talked to the trainer after practice today. Clark said we'll dress him out, maybe looking at, possibly, at LSU next week. He's going through warm-ups and everything right now as if he's going to play. It should be within a week with Rojas. I thought he looked pretty good today in practice. Probably try to get him to the next stage, get him doing everything live in practice, full court up and down. But he looked good in the half court, guarding, bring some toughness, pass the ball well. Hez on the scout team when we guard their stuff in the half court. He looked good. And guard Nimari Burnett, a transfer last offseason from Texas Tech who had season-ending knee surgery in September, is progressing in his rehab. The former McDonald's All-American posted a video Wednesday of him shooting in the practice gym. Clark says that Hez ahead of schedule, Oats said. Hez doing unbelievable. Hez a kid that works really hard, takes his game very seriously. Hez very professional about everything. Hez coming along really well. I don't know the video you're referring to. I took all social media off my phone, so I don't really see much during the season, but my guess would be Hez making a lot of shots on the video. I don't know. Otherwise they probably don't put the video out. My guess would be Hez making them because he made shots too, before he got injured. Oats said Burnett was shooting 60% on three-pointers in live practices before he was injured before this season. It would have been great to have him this year, Oats said. We certainly could have used his shooting. We've struggled to shoot the ball at various times this year, and Hez one of the best shooters we have on the team. I anticipate him being one of the best shooters we have next year, one of the better shooters in the country, to be honest with you. Hez got a pretty high IQ. Hez really locked into what the team is doing this year, even though Hez been out. Hez been a great teammate, makes comment in video, talks to the guys when they are out of the game. I think Hez showing some leadership qualities. We're excited Hez in the program. Wish he could have played this year. It's unfortunate he can't, but his rehab is coming along fine and I think he'll be 100% by the time the season starts next year. Mike Rodick is an Alabama beat reporter for Alabama Media Group. Follow him on Twitter at Mike Rodak. Tennessee Titan appointed Derrick Henry to return. The Tennessee Titans designated running back Derrick Henry for return from injured reserve on Wednesday, opening the door for the two-time NFL rushing champion to rejoin the team's backfield for the playoffs. Henry has not played since October 31st, when he sustained a foot fracture during a game against the Indianapolis Colts. More NFL times 3 Alabama alumni released from NFL practice squads. Times Jalen Hurts seeks response after near-tragic incident. Times Steelers push past Browns behind possessed Najee Harris. The designation allows the former Alabama All-American to return to practice and opens a 21-day window for the Titans to restore him to their active roster. It's exciting to get him back out there, Titans quarterback Ryan Tannehill said during a Wednesday press conference. Obviously, has put in a lot of work to get to this point, and it's been a while, so no doubt it's exciting to us to get him back out there, and we'll see what he can do. Tennessee had a 6-2 record when Henry went to the sidelines. The Titans have gone 5-3 with Henry out of the lineup and will enter the NFL playoffs as the AFC South champions. Tennessee would be the AFC playoffs #1 seed and earn the accompanying first round bye by beating the Houston Texans on Sunday in the Titans' regular season finale. Henry had 937 yards and 10 touchdowns on 219 rushing attempts in the first 8 weeks of the 2021 season. He led the NFL in all 3 categories at that point in the campaign, just as he had for the full 2019 and 2020 seasons. Despite missing the past 8 games, Henry ranks 6th in the NFL in rushing yards this season. In his 6 career playoff games, Henry has averaged 111.7 rushing yards. Henry won the Heisman Trophy at Alabama in 2015 when he paced the Crimson Tide to the CFP National Championship while setting SEC records for single-season rushing yards and rushing touchdowns. A second-round draft choice in 2016, Henry led the NFL with 1,540 yards and 16 touchdowns on 303 rushing attempts to earn Pro Bowl recognition in 2019. In 2020, Henry became the 8th player in NFL history to reach 2,000 rushing yards in a season, and he earned All-Pro recognition and the NFL Offensive Player of the Year award. Henry ran for 2,027 yards and 17 touchdowns on 378 carries last season. For more of all.com's coverage of the NFL, go to our NFL page. Mark Anabanet is a sports reporter for Alabama Media Group. Follow him on Twitter at @AMarkG1.